And this is what I've done so far. After stripping the fairings, remove the engine sprocket cover. The sprocket seems to be in fair good condition, and I was worried about that because this is the one that makes more revolutions per minute than the rear one. So it doesn't matter if the rear it's fine, this one has to be fine as well. And the engine sprocket cover, which it hasn't been removed for a long time, as you can tell. Anyway, all that it's going to be cleaned up and put back together. You can clearly see the engine rocker cover gasket leaking. Of course, I'm going to replace the bolt seals as well, all 8 of them, to make a nice job and keep the motorcycle clean. This is the motorcycle after removing all plastics. Lots of dust, lots of dirt, but this is the least of my worries. I'm gonna remove that in no time. And there we go, with the fairings and the rest of the stuff. The tail, seat, some other cowls, mirrors, everything. So this is what I've come so far today. I'm about to remove the fuel tank, but remove the mask, remove the fairings. There's a lot of dust on the bike, a lot of dirt. I'm gonna do it. I've done some serious cleaning here. I just scrub it with kerosene and the engine sprocket cover as well. So there's no point for me to stress anymore about that part and trying to get the dirt out of it, but just put the high pressure washing machine and do it with that. But first I'll have to remove the fuel tank and see how that one goes. And this is what's on the fuel tank. This is the Exup, the Exup 7 motor. This is what gives the command to the exhaust fuel power valve to open or close, depending on how much the RPM in the engine is. Up here, these are the carburetors, which, as far as I know, the previous owner had changed needle seats and a few rings in there, but I'll have to disassemble them and see what's going on. I mean, they seem to be in good condition, but what I want is all that grime and dirt to be cleaned. I'll make these with soda blasting and I'll make them look brand new. But I don't like that, so I'm gonna have to order a new cover or maybe the whole box. Some other components for those who haven't seen an FZR1000 underneath. That's the fuel pump, so if you have issues, that's right there. And in due time, especially if you don't have good quality fuel, if you go to a questioned, let's say, service stations and you have a lot of dirt in the fuel, this is the first one to go. I mean, the carburetor is going to be clogged definitely, but this one is another major component. This is why before the fuel pump we have a fuel filter, which is that one, and I'll replace that, of course. And I'm going to replace it along with the air filter, which you can see due to these holes here, you can see in there, and I can tell it's quite dirty as well. And this is the thermostat housing. In here, right here, is the thermostat, and that controls the temperature of the engine. The manufacturer says, for example, the engine has to run around 90 Celsius, the coolant liquid. The thermostat makes sure that not before 90 degrees Celsius this one opens and leaves coolant from the engine escape through that hose and through the water pump, which it locates down here, that's the one, and push the coolant through the engine, circulate it around the coolant, take it into the radiator, and as the motorcycle is running, cools the coolant down and goes down again to the water pump, into the engine, cools the engine down, and so on. Well, now sometimes when you have traffic and you sit in the traffic lights, there's not much airflow going in through here, is it? That's why we have the air fan, the ventilator right there. And if the ventilator fills, if the sensor, which I'm not sure where it's located, feels that the coolant is too high in temperature, then it gives a signal to the ventilator and the fan starts flow air, sucks air from the front through the radiator, cools the coolant and blows it through the engine. So the Airbox has one screw here, which I'm going to remove now. And there's 4 screws here, one for each carburetor on the collars. And there we are, the carburetors. Cylinder 1, 2, 3 and 4. These are the ignition coils, 2 of them. You can see the rocket cover here. That's the heat shield that takes the heat away from the coils and the carburetors consequently. It doesn't do much of a job, though, trust me. So I'm not going to take the carburetors out today. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cover the carburetors here so no water goes in. And what I'll do is just power wash the motorcycle, cover it in foam, and then scrub it as much as I can at least, and then give it a good high pressure wash.